Yo, Kyle Lowe here. It is September 13th, 2025, aka Tech Timber. I have no time to make videos, so this is going to be a no edit video. But this week was just crazy, and I feel like I want to say something. So let's go in order of the things that I found out about. I don't even have time to do graphics. I'm just going to pull up stuff on my iPad as my graphics. I woke up and I learned about Sigma's new lenses, the new 20 to 200 millimeter lens. It's only for Sony E mount and Lumix or L mount, which is Lumix and Leica and Sigma cameras. You can also adapt Sony E mount to Nikon Z mount. Me as a Canon shooter am totally out of luck. But this is totally a cool lens if you could only have one lens. It's not an art lens, it's a contemporary lens. But like, yeah, if you could only have one lens and you're going on a trip, this would cover a whole bunch of stuff. It's f3.5 to 6.3, which, you know, it would be ginormous if it was like a constant 4 or constant 2.8. So 3.5 to 6.3, if you just treat it as a constant 6.3 and you're always taking pictures or shooting video in the daytime, it's going to work. It's very cool. And then they also announced a 135 millimeter f1.4. I had the Sigma 135 1.8 for EF mount. I loved it. This looks smaller and it's got like that 1/3 stop of light more. It's gonna be awesome. Again, I believe it's only for Sony E mount and L mount. But you know, that's a lot of cameras. It's not me right now until Canon allows third-party Sigma lenses for full frame. They do allow APS-C. But I like Canon. I like the way the image looks. I think Canon as a first-party lens maker is making really interesting lenses. I really want to try out the 10 to 20, the 24 to 105 servo zoom, f2.8 constant aperture, the new 70 to 200 servo zoom, f2.8, and the 100 to 300 f2.8. I think those are crazy. And we'll talk more about Canon in just a sec. But yeah, the next thing that day, September 9th, was the Apple announcement. Apple announced a bunch of stuff, and they started with AirPods 3. AirPods Pro 3 seem to be a really good upgrade. If you already have AirPods Pro 2 and you're happy with them and your battery life works, you don't need to get them. I have these AirPods 3. I actually don't really care for silicone tip earbuds. I prefer the more open ones. One, because I think they're more comfortable. I can wear them just about all day. My ears fit these better. Plus, I need to hear my surroundings. We got the little baby, which is kind of why I don't have time to edit a video right now. I don't need ANC for my earbuds around the house. I want to be able to hear my surroundings, but these do seem very cool. Longer battery life, 8 hours with noise cancellation. They're technically IP57 rated, so I've, accidentally left them in and gotten in the shower and I'm like, oh shoot, I probably have messed this up. And the tips now have foam integrated. I have a lot of people in my life who do have AirPods Pro and have replaced the silicone tip with foam tips, which gives you better, it fills in your ear better, so it increases your noise cancellation. On top of the active noise cancellation, it just helps block more of the outside sound. And for some people, it's more comfortable. On the flip side, I know that they kind of retain heat more. So this still being silicone on the outside, but foam inside of the silicone is kind of cool. I'm interested to try them out. But again, like I said, they're not really something that I need in my life. ANC earbuds, AirPods are something I primarily use around the house, and I need to hear my surroundings. And I could use transparency mode, but the AirPods 3 that don't have any ANC or close off my ear canal is great. So I don't need it. I'm not getting them. But I think they're very cool. If you have AirPods that like the battery is dying or you've never had wireless earbuds before, this is going to be a pretty good option. Okay, after that, they talked about Apple Watch. The Apple Watch Series 11 also seems pretty cool, adding hypertension or high blood pressure monitoring. If you have an Apple Watch, I actually am charging mine right now. I have a Series 7. I've used it for the last 3 years. The battery is still holding up okay. I've switched my daily routine since the baby showed up. I primarily showered in the morning when I was going to CMAC every day, but now I'm kind of showering at night. So I can do my nighttime routine, and I put the Apple Watch on the charger. It's nighttime. It's on its charger. I'm going to take a shower after this, and then I'll put it back on, sleep with it on, track my sleep, and then wear it throughout the day. It almost makes it all day. On a normal day, if I'm doing some really strenuous stuff, it doesn't make it all day. So a Series 11 is cool, but I think my Series 7 is going to serve me for at least another year. Plus, my brother and my friend Gilbert are getting the Xiaomi Realme 3 watch very soon, and I want to do some comparisons on the Apple Watch from the Xiaomi because it does integrate with Apple's Health really thoroughly, but it's getting multiple day battery life. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, here's Apple's page. If you watch the keynote, this was the page with the info. Yeah, more scratch resistant glass. It still has everything it had before, plus the hypertension, high blood pressure notifications, which is pretty sweet. And then they updated the SE model of the Apple Watch. My brother Brandon has the SE2, I think, and he is not impressed with it. He really hates the battery life on it, and it has the old charging system, so it takes a long time to charge. Since the Series 7 that I have, I can pop it on the charger for about 25, 30 minutes and be good to go. So I would do my morning routine, now I do my nighttime routine, and it gets all the way to 100% and gets me pretty much a full day unless I'm doing a lot of workouts. He can do a workout and need to charge it and then go about his day. So the SE primarily getting better battery life in fast charging is, I think, the biggest key, but it also brings things up to par with the Series 11. It's got the same processor chip. That is not typical. It usually has an older chip in it, but it has almost all of the sensing that the 11 has. I didn't screenshot the thing with all the info, but it seems pretty well featured, and for starting at $249 is a pretty good deal. But again, hit subscribe to see the comparison video of Apple Watch versus the Xiaomi Realme 3, because I think that watch, even with tariffs in the United States in the year of our Lord 2025, is still going to be cheaper than the Apple Watch SE. So we'll see. And then the Apple Watch Ultra got an update. Biggest battery, biggest screen. The thing that I think is really cool about this is it's getting the satellite connectivity that the iPhone has had since the iPhone 14 or 15. So if you had 127 hours yourself and you drop your phone into the ravine and you're still wearing your watch, and you don't have signal for regular cell towers, you can still satellite communicate and get help. I think that's pretty cool. Apple did their wild, the Apple Watch saved my life montage at the beginning of this segment, the Apple Watch segment. And I feel like this year was even more doomery. It was like, if you don't have an Apple Watch, you are going to die. So, satellite connectivity, helping you not die. Okay, then it was iPhone time, and they started with the iPhone 17. The iPhone 17 is pretty sweet. Both the ultra wide camera and the standard camera have 48 megapixels, which I think is great. So you can take 0.5 and macro images with the ultra wide, and then you could take 1x or a 24 millimeter equivalent, and 2x, a 48 or 50 millimeter equivalent on the standard lens. If you don't need a telephoto lens, this phone also got the ProMotion or 120 hertz refresh rate for the screen. It's silky smooth, it seems. And I think this green color is pretty sharp. I love having the option of the telephoto lens and then a lot of the pro video features. So it's not for me, and I'm not going to upgrade my phone this year. I promised Lauren, I would not be upgrading my phone, computer, or camera this year, which makes this September especially painful because I do think there are some really good upgrades in these phones. So the iPhone 17, not necessarily for me, but if you don't need a telephoto lens and you don't need pro video features in your phone, this is a great upgrade. I would say if you have a 13, maybe even a 14 generation phone, this 17 generation phone is going to be well worth your money. Okay, and then the new phone, the iPhone Air, I don't think they are using the 17 moniker. They're just calling it iPhone Air. Very, very skinny. The entire brains of the phone is just up here in the plateau or notch at the top, and the rest of the phone is battery. Yeah, here's kind of a cross-section image. This is all battery, some components down here, but mostly battery, and the majority of the components are up here. They have also said it should have all-day battery life, but they are also selling a very specific MagSafe battery for this phone. So if you're a heavy phone user, I don't think this is for you. If you need multiple cameras, if you want that ultra wide, you're vlogging or something, it's also only going to have the standard lens. And yeah, I've heard some people say they think this is a proof of concept for a folding phone, what a folding phone could be. Make it as thin as possible, see how small you can squeeze the components of the smarts of the phone into it. And this probably will not exist next year, but a folding phone of some sort may. I don't know. That's just all speculation. I need to take this keyboard off. Why aren't the Folio keyboards available for the pros anymore? This is my M1 iPad Pro. And if I wanted to upgrade to the M4 iPad Pro, they don't have the Folio. They only have the Magic Keyboard with the trackpad, which is cool. I love that. But most of the time, I just want the Folio. I just want the Folio keyboard. Please bring back the Folio keyboard. It was the only good butterfly keyboard. This is a butterfly mechanism, and if you remember that from the MacBooks, people hate it. It's only good on the iPad because the keys are sealed. Anyway, tangent. Let's keep moving along. iPhone Air. I don't really think that's for anyone unless you just like showing off that you have the thinnest iPhone. But even then, speaking of the M4 iPad Pro, it's not as thin as the M4 iPad Pro. So it's not for me. But if I could buy a phone this year, which I promised my wife I would not, I would get the 17 Pro Max. The 17 and Pro and Pro Max seem to be really, really awesome phones. Great upgrades. Expanding on what the iPhone 15 and 16 added for video. It gets, as someone who makes videos and is excited about video stuff, it's getting a second generation Apple log profile, logarithmic video encoding. It's got that not too contrasty, not too saturated image, which gives you the most flexibility in post-production to be able to push color and contrast how you need it to be. It's not great for quick turnaround, but for someone who likes to make videos on a phone, it's a very cool feature. But on top of that, we're also getting the ability to record in ProRes RAW. So not just a compressed format with a log image, but a completely raw image, a video signal from the phone. So we can fully control ISO and white balance in post if we need to. It's only going to work in the Final Cut camera app and the Blackmagic camera app in the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. But that is really, really cool, which leads to Blackmagic has also announced they're making this really cool dock, which is going to give you not only HDMI out and multiple USB-C ports, but also timecode and Genlock. So if you've seen the image, I should have downloaded the image from the behind the scenes of 28 years later. They made that bullet time rig out of iPhones. I think they developed this for that because Genlock essentially forces multiple cameras to not just be on the same clock like timecode does. We're at, 9 p.m., 36 minutes, 43 seconds and 14 frames. Genlock is actually telling camera, frame, make a frame. So they are perfectly locked because timecode will drift over time if you don't keep it jammed all the time. But Genlock you do have to keep it locked and connected to a generator, but it is forcing the camera to create frames at a certain time. Locked 24 frames, 48 frames for slow motion or something. It's very, very cool. And in and out audio, 3.5 millimeter jacks. This is very cool. If I had an iPhone 17, I would get this. It's a very cool accessory from Blackmagic. But Blackmagic is allowing to ProRes RAW in their app and the Final Cut camera app. But Blackmagic hasn't supported ProRes RAW in their NLE Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve. They have their own RAW format. They call it B-RAW. It's in the Blackmagic Cinema cameras. It's also a very good RAW codec. You can set like quality levels, different levels of compressed RAW. And it also has like highlight retention. It tries to like squeeze like an extra half stop or stop of light out of the raw image. It's very good. But either you had ProRes RAW and use it in Premiere and Final Cut, or you had B-RAW and use it in Premiere or DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is getting an update. It's going to support ProRes RAW. There are other cameras that record in ProRes RAW. A lot of them use the Atomos recording monitors to record ProRes RAW, but even like the DJI Ronin 4D and the Inspire can record ProRes RAW internally. There's something else. Some of the Nikon cameras can do ProRes RAW. Maybe. Definitely, maybe not. They do ProRes, but maybe not ProRes RAW. Anyway, super cool. I still bounce back and forth between Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve a lot. I do quick edits in Final Cut just to get stuff done quickly, but when I need more robust color workflow or I'm working with other people who are working in DaVinci Resolve, I'm using that more often in those scenarios, and it's nice to not have to worry about a codec or a compression type or a raw format working in one NLE but not the other. So that's great. Would use Edit Ready to have to convert RAWs into regular ProRes, and then you lose some of the magic of having a raw image. Those file types are going to be, those file sizes are going to be huge. But you record to an external SSD, and I think you're going to be a-okay. Anyway, let's see. That was it for Apple. I think, again, for anyone on an iPhone 14, anything that the pre-USB-C, I think this is a great upgrade. So if you have 14, 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, it may be time to upgrade. If I'm on a 15 Pro Max, I'm going to squeeze one more year out of it. And I really do like this design, so I hope this design sticks around for the Pro and Pro Max phones. And maybe I'll pick up something in 2026. Okay, but then a bunch of camera tech got announced even the same day, September 9th. It was wild. Canon announced a couple of lenses and a new camera. The first lens, very quickly, is an 11 to 55 servo lens with a built-in 1.5 times extender. It's very, very cool. It comes in PL mount and RF mount. If I had a studio, this is the lens I would get. If I had a studio full of like C400s or, other cameras, this would be my wide angle lens. It's very cool. It isn't constant aperture. I forget, but it's like a 2.95 to 3.95. I would just treat it as like a T4 lens, F4 lens. Anyway, I would just treat it as a more closed down. I'm recording stuff at more closed down apertures these days anyway. I'm at f4 on an f2.8 lens. But having a faster lens means that it's sharp. If I had an f4 lens, it wide open and be a little bit softer. But now that I have an f2.8 lens and use it stop down to f4, it's a little bit sharper at f4. So that's cool. They also announced a new VCM, the 85 millimeter f1.4. So they have their original RF primes. I believe they have a 24, 50, 85, and then the 85s in two different like coatings. I don't think there's a 35, or at least not a 35 1.2. But these VCM lenses are kind of they're calling them the hybrid lenses. They want you to use them on video. They've got the aperture ring They do all have the same size, but the trade-off is they are not as optically perfect as the original RF lenses. They do use a lot of in-camera correction. So when you do record in RAW, you have to apply lens corrections to have like straight lines in your image. So I don't think the VCM lenses are for me. If I get more RF primes, I'm going to get the original ones because they are more optically perfect. But even then, I don't think I'm going to be buying... I think I'm still going to keep my EF primes for a little bit longer, just in case I want to play with some other camera systems. I have lenses to adapt. I do have this 15 to 35 RF just because I wanted the wide angle zoom. I love it. But yeah, I think I'm going to stick with EF lenses a little bit longer, mostly for flexibility. And Canon announced a new camera, the Canon C50. I believe it's replacing the R5C, or, you know, in spirit. It's the R5C is not going to get a Mark II. It seems like this is it. It's a brand new sensor, 32 megapixels or 6K, and it's a 3x2 size sensor. And for the first time, Canon is going to allow us to record in open gate, which makes it really tough for me to have promised not to buy a new camera this year because I really want this camera. I have the SLR Magic and Amorphit PL lenses. I would love to use it on this. I also love that it has Canon Log 2. I have the R5C, I have the R6. Those are limited to Canon Log 3. I can record in RAW in the R5C and decode the RAW as Canon Log 2, but I also just don't want to burn all of my data or like film in RAW and then transcode. Just like, I just want a nice H.265 image to edit and do quick turnaround stuff. My friend Jordan Polmano got to experience it early. This screenshot is from him. It's a very cool camera. I'm very jealous. I want one. I believe they're coming out in November. And yeah, I would get rid of my R6 Mark II. It's only 24 megapixels. And I miss having the Canon Cinema operating system. I really like the operating system for the Canon Cinema line. And like the R5C, it can switch from video to photo, and it still has the Canon photo operating system. The only downside is this doesn't have a mechanical shutter, but I still have my R5C. I would keep my R5C. I'd make that my vlogging camera, and I have my C70 and C50 as my like production cameras. And I initially was kind of disappointed it doesn't have an EVF, but then I realized, like, honestly, I really only use the EVF for photo capture, and I'll still have my R5C for photo, and I still have the original EOS R. I'm going to keep that because having Canon's first full frame mirrorless camera is kind of cool. Like when people have like a Canon AE1 or an old Nikon F3, like that's hopefully what that camera is going to be to me in the future. So I can still have those for photo, and then the C70 and the C50 for production stuff. Like when I do a lot of I do this YouTube stuff, but I also do a lot of event stuff. I don't use the EVF for that, especially when I'm on sticks. I will use the LCD, or I'll bring a monitor. I have a Atomos Ninja V5. I don't use the EVF very much for that stuff. So I would not miss it too much, but when I'm vlogging, doing travel videos, I do use the EVF a lot. So the R5C would become my full-time vlog camera that the R6 Mark II has been, and then the C70, C50 be my production cameras. So C50, that's the one I want, even more than I could go maybe even 2 more years without upgrading my phone, computer, iPad, and that's what I would get. Okay, and then Nikon dropped a bomb at like 9 p.m. Pacific time. They have made their first Nikon camera that has RED technology inside of it. So about a year ago, Nikon bought RED cinema cameras, and the big thing they've done is come out with a couple of updates to the RED line with the Nikon Z mount. But now this is a Nikon camera. It's kind of like the body of the Z30, but the sensor of the Z6 Mark III, so full frame instead of APS-C, and you can now record in Red Code RAW. This seems really cool, and the price is amazing. The Canon is going to be like $38.99. This is going to be you can almost buy two of these for the price of the one Canon C50, but it doesn't have full open gate recording, which may be able to be updated in a firmware update. I've also heard things that like sometimes the system on the chip, it's like built in, like you can't, it would need a physical upgrade to be able to switch to open gate recording, but I don't know. The Panasonic S1 Mark II also has the sensor in it. So the sensor is capable of open gate recording. It's just, it does the processor allow for it. And then if you watch Gerald Undone's video, he made a great video. He got the camera ahead of time and comparing the RAW recording, both Red RAW R3D and the the Nikon RAW recording. Those are very sharp and detailed. It's oversampled from the full sensor, which I think is also 30 megapixels. It cannot record in as sharp of a video in its compressed codecs H.264 and H.265. It just doesn't resolve as much detail, which is weird because I think that the Z6 Mark III and the Z8 do have very good looking compressed video formats. So unless you're going to use this as like a B or C cam to a bigger cinema camera, or use it as your A cam, and you're always going to record RAW, it's in a vlogging cam body, but I don't think the footage that a vlogger might use or a YouTuber might use looks very good, because you're going to record RAW with this in, like, you're gonna need a terabyte card just to record a Ramble video like this. So I don't know. It's hard to say who it's for. I do have friends, like commercial production people who have RED cameras, big cameras. They always shoot in RAW. I talked to a couple of those friends. They're really excited about this. They're making this a B or C cam for their rigs, which is great. But it's weird that it feels like it's marketing itself to the really high end and kind of vlogger YouTubers, but it really only does really well at the really high end. Now, these were pre-production models. Hopefully by production, they have that sorted out and the H.265 and the H.264 is sharper. But yeah, it's very interesting. I love the innovation. I'd love to see what happens next. It's not for me, but it's very cool. Okay. And then let's jump to Micro Four Thirds. It's not dead. OM Systems, formerly Olympus, still makes Micro Four Thirds. Lumix still makes Micro Four Thirds. And they just announced a 50 to 200 millimeter Micro Four Thirds lens, constant f2.8. This is going to be a full frame equivalent of 100 to 400, which is a fantastic zoom range. And it's going to be constant at f2.8. So if you have a Micro Four Thirds camera, this might be like an amazing event, bird and wildlife lens. This is very cool. I have a friend who has a GH7. Shout out to Sammy Gonzalez of Rowe Productions. I hope he gets this because I want to play with it. This looks like a very cool lens. I've only owned a GH4 and I only owned it for like 5 or 6 months. I couldn't get into it. But I think the GH7 is very, very cool. I also think the S1 Mark II is also very cool. So, which is also why I would hang on to my EF lenses, because I want to try the S1 Mark II. I don't think it's going to lure me away from Canon, but OM Systems, Lumix is doing some really interesting stuff. All right, last but not least, a camera that I cannot afford and probably don't want, but it's kind of cool. Fujifilm made their first cinema camera. They've made lenses for video for a long time. Television Fuji lenses, Fujinon lenses are amazing, and they make great stills cameras. The XT3 I got to play with pretty extensively. My brother had, and everybody loves the X100 series of cameras. But then they also have the GFX medium format cameras. Those are really cool. my friend Enrique at Meza Studios. It's Meza Studio? It's just Meza. It's his last name. It used to be Meza Films, but he expanded into a lot of photo stuff too. So I think he just calls it Meza Studio. He takes great photos, and he primarily uses a Fuji GFX for his studio work. And the last GFX camera, I don't even remember the name of it, added some great video features. And a couple of companies were making like build outs. If you bought the Fuji GFX camera and you wanted to use it for video, it like added fans and a bunch of IO and the ability to like mount a V mount or gold mount battery on it. But I think Fuji was like, oh, we can just make that. So they made a cinema camera built around a GFX sensor, and they're calling it the Fujifilm GFX Eterna 55. So it is a huge sensor. Technically, it's like 102 megapixels, the original GFX sensor, but you can record up to 6.3K at 24 frames per second. Or no, what is 8K? You can record up to 8K. Yeah. The 6.3K is in Super 35 mode. It does do an open gate mode, but it samples down to 4K. But I don't know. I want to know if it's actually truly an oversampled image from the 8K image, or is it line skipping or pixel binning when you are doing the 4K open gate. It goes up to 48 frames per second, which is very cool. It's got built-in variable ND. It does seem to be an electronic style. So it initially drops in the VND, and then that VND gets darker on its own. I think similar to the Sony system. It seems very, very cool. They have a very cool top handle that has... I'm tapping this like I'm on the website. I'm not on the website. A top handle with the controls. I didn't mention it, but the C50 also comes with a top handle with controls and XLR. It's just, this is very expensive. A GFX camera is also, no inexpensive camera, but for something that doesn't add too much to the GFX camera, other than like more buttons and some more IO, you could take the GFX camera and rig it out and still be way under that. And it, with this medium format, your lens options, you can do the Fujifilm G lenses, they're medium format lenses. You can get a PL mount adapter for it, but not a ton of PL mount lenses are Super 35, let alone full frame, let alone medium format. There's the LPL lens mount that the RE65, I think it started with the RE65 camera, for large format, medium format sensor sizes, but there just aren't a lot of lenses. Those lenses are going to be way more expensive. And honestly, if you're going to use a medium format for production and you already have to use those more expensive lenses, I have a feeling more people are just going to rent the RE65. I don't know. So I don't know who this camera is for, is what I'm saying. It seems to be mid-tier price-wise, like in that spectrum of like the Sony Burano or the Panasonic VariCam at its height. But it's an odd camera. It's not for me. If you're getting a Fujifilm Eterna camera, let me know why, because I think it's a very interesting camera, but like I said, I don't know who it's for. Okay, I've rambled on for a half hour. I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to sync my audio, level it out, and hit upload. That's Techtimber so far. We're almost halfway through September, and Techtimber rolls into Techtober. October's probably going to have some really cool launches as well. But that's the phones and the cameras. If I could get something, which I can't, and I'm not going to upgrade anything this year. And you should only buy things when you need them, not because you want them. If you have a need for them, upgrade. If you just want it, but you already have gear that suits you well, don't do it. I would get iPhone 17 Pro Max, the Blackmagic dock for it, for really quick, low budget stuff. I just film it on my iPhone, which I kind of currently do. and then I would sell my R6 Mark II and get a C50, which I might do next year if things are looking good for the business and the YouTube channel. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I hope you enjoyed this ramble video. If you did, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. I've got a couple of cool reviews in the works. It just takes a long time now with the baby to get things done, but they're in the works. And if you want to support the channel, you can check out patreon.com/Kyle Lowe. This video is made possible by the wonderful patrons on my Patreon. If you'd like to have your name at the end of the video, sign up at patreon.com/Kyle Lowe. And I will see you next time. Peace.